Bam. There it is.
There you go.
Boom, boom, boom. What's up, everybody? This is DTM Delta Tango Mike. You know me. What's up to everybody already joining us on the chat in the Discord? I have a long intro, but let me give a shout out to Odari and CJ. CJ said hello first on the chat on Behance, and she's joining us on the Discord. If you know the link to the Discord, and you should know, and if you don't know, now you know. It's in the description of the video. Go ahead and join us. Free to join the sketching and drawing Discord. Me, I am DTN chilling in my lab. This is the lab. Look, I finally put up my books today. I said I want to go live from this corner right here, and I got my book set up. I got some lights. I'm gonna need to buy some more lights because those are the lights that I use for my video production. But we'll get around to it. In any case, I got a nice clean setup here, and I'm happy to be back from vacation. So welcome everyone to the first week back from the vacation. Uh, do keep in mind that we are jumping into a holiday, so we're going to work out some of these streaming schedules going on. All right, so now let me go ahead and introduce you to an amazing guy. I've been a fan of his work for a long time. And I don't even know. I think I met him many years ago when I was producing art shows, some kind of way. And we'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and get Herb in the house. How you doing, man?
Appreciate you, Dan. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. It's good being here.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Um, uh, you go by the artist name Arcadia Nevermind. What does that
That's
mean?
correct. Actually, it's a real quick funny story. Arcadia Nevermind was actually one of the uh, I guess pen handles that Prince actually used when he was producing different songs and whatnot for the time that he didn't want to actually have his own name used.
Hmm.
And so it was just one of those things where he was like he wanted to have creative control without masking Prince all over it, and it was just one of those things that I thought was really unique,
Hmm.
and I wanted to use that too when it came to my work, when it came, because I felt like when it came to a lot of stuff in college and stuff that I was doing outside of college, especially for art stuff or projects or murals, I was always in the background. I felt like that kind of hit my persona at the time. So it kind of just stuck. So there it was, and
That's
then it
cool.
just
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool story. And I did a Google search for Arcadia Nevermind, and no other artist came up. So I think you got something good going on there. You need to keep that going because you have that's a very unique name. That's why I like Delta Tango Mike and as my artist name or the Creative Genius because there's a lot of Dan Flores. There's some other Herbert Richardsons out there, but when you use one particular name and that's very unique, boom, man, you're the only one. So tell us a little bit of, and while Herb is talking, I am going to share a little bit of his Instagram, Facebook, and we'll start asking him some questions about his Patreon eventually. So anybody who's interested in following his work, and I'm going to also share a little bit about this right here. Do check the links in the description of the video. Thank you, Odari, for sharing the Discord link. But yes, we do have Herb's links in the description of the video, so you can check him out. So, Herb, tell us a little bit about you growing up. How old were you, and what was it like at that time for you when you discovered art or drawing or something creative? What was it?
well, to be honest with you, Dan, art was actually part of my well, art in general. My mom was already a huge academically gifted teacher for the public schools, and I was always working with her, trying to help her create banners and stuff for the classroom. But it really kind of made its way into my life when I got into a very bad accident, and I was actually left mute for a couple of months because of fear. And so one of the ways that actually kind of drew me back out, so I actually started talking and interacting with people again, was art therapy. And so
Mm-hmm.
just for consistently drawing and just doodling and whatnot, it was just my kind of my avenue, and it was my avenue kind of to converse with people, even with my own parents. And you've seen that kind of character and a couple of cartoons. I know you probably seen it back in the day, and especially in the '90s, where you had the kid that would actually write out certain things or draw certain things. That was me. Uh, so
Dang, it must have been
just
a very bad accident. And how old were you?
I was 4.
The
I was 4.
oh snap. So real,
Yeah,
real young. Okay.
real
Dang.
young.
That's super traumatic, bro. Dang.
Yeah.
Wow. That this is
You
it's
know,
hard to even imagine what kind of thoughts and ideas a 4-year old could have to even make sense of how your life changed so fast. That's crazy.
people, I feel like it's a commentary just about the fact that, when it comes to family, as much as you love them, there's still some people that need help.
Mhm.
And if they don't get help, or they don't talk to who they need to talk to, or just talk in general, you know, there will be reactions. And unfortunately, for the younger kids, for the younger nieces and nephews in my family, they were on the short end of that stick.
Mm.
So, um, it's its own little testament, but it was one, like I said, from such a crazy traumatic experience. Hey, I'm an artist now. You know what I'm saying? I think I've developed my own level of empathy and active perspective when it comes to telling different sides and things of the story. And just for the fact that I'm taking more time to pay attention to details that some people might overlook. And I feel like we're making beauty out of those details in those
Mhm.
moments.
So,
So even though,
right.
go ahead,
Uh-huh.
go, you go ahead.
No, it's crazy. I can't. Like it makes sense now. Like to you, art it's not just like drawing for us. For many of us, it's like a talent and thing that just comes that you kind of are drawn into because you're seeing what you can do with your hands and with your imagination. But to you, it's like a form of communication. Like you had to to get the point across. You were sitting there trying to figure out how can I get this line work drawing position of things composition to get people to understand what I want, what I need right now.
Exactly, exactly. From food, you can imagine, for especially being little kids, just for the fact of, like, especially when your parents come in and they're asking you, like, where'd you do you know where such and such is, and fear of talking, it'll make you almost go to almost like a point to point CAD kind of reference to stuff, just to make sure that you conveyed it, because you don't want your parents to get over, say, over frustrated with the fact that you're not talking.
Hmm.
And so it was just one of those things that it just heightens your logic, I guess, to a point about what details that you want to include or what you're going to include in your picture. And then once it actually, and then for familiarity for the people around you, when they start seeing what you're actually, drawing, as far as, backgrounds and what you're considering for people and things and objects of that nature. It's
Symbols, yeah,
Yeah, exactly,
hieroglyphics,
exactly.
things you could do draw all the time that they start to recognize as language.
Correct, correct.
Whoa, bro!
Yeah.
Damn, some heavy stuff. So,
It,
so
it
go ahead.
No, no, yeah, it was just, like I said, it's just one of those things. I I don't I haven't talked about it a lot, obviously in years,
Hmm.
because it'll still give you a sense of flashback, as
Hmm.
you can see, and the doctors even call this kind of thing almost a sense of a version of PTSD.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it was it was it was still, regardless, a great bridge.
Hmm.
And I think that was just the one thing that I feel like was just something that I felt very dear when it came to my family, especially for my cousins and my aunts and uncles that were very helpful with my mom and dad. It was essentially kind of, it became its own little language
Hmm.
of sorts, especially for what was drawn. And even when it came to, like, when they leave you messages when they had to go, whatever that they've drawn, whether it be their favorite thing or not, it was still kind of like a note of love, a
Hmm.
love note.
Hmm.
And I guess that's another reason why I guess I'm partly like a slight hoarder when it comes to papers and traditional stuff, when it
Uh-huh.
comes to
Uh-huh.
art mediums,
Hmm.
because I hold that very dear, because I didn't know when I was going to see them again,
Uh-huh.
outside of small visits and stuff. And, when it came to attempting to try something new, instead of me going back into my shell, I always had my little artifacts of, love notes. My uncle got, my uncle was great at tigers, and he always, preached to me, when you go somewhere new, you don't want to go in there like a kid, you'd be like a tiger. So I always had a picture of one of his tigers, right? And then when it came to different things like that, I have a love note from one of my cousins and my uncles and aunts to help me through that.
Wow.
So that's how it was.
This is a very, very unique perspective on this. Uh, and I think that we need to hear more about it in your own time. And I think this needs to
Right.
be part of your career that you speak on it a lot because, there's always accidents and things that happen to kids. And it's hard to imagine. I mean, I'm thinking about my 3-year-old granddaughter right now, and if something was to
Right.
happen to her, like, we have to switch the way we behave and deal with each other, and but so it happens to people, real people everywhere. And just as another example, when I was a kid, when I was 14, 13, I think 14, I broke my leg, and I was talking, we were talking about that a second ago before we went live.
Yeah.
I broke my femur, and so I was in a body cast. And this is in hot Southern California, LA, in the 80s, and in the middle of summer. And so because I was a kid, you couldn't keep me in the bed. I was out and about, right? I was out and about. You
Mhm.
shouldn't, I shouldn't
Right.
be. And I had my, I had what do you call those things, that to hold you up, um, um,
The credit.
the crutches. And so and I actually even had a walker too at one time. And so here I am, walking around the neighborhood with crutches and a body cast and struggling, but I don't care because I need to be outside. I need to be outside. And then this big muscle guy. I mean, I think it was a vision. It wasn't even a real person. Now that I think about it, but at that time, I saw this guy walking up the street towards me, and he had like a gym bag. He looked like he had workout clothes. He was on the way to work out or came from working out. That dude was built. And as he's
Right.
walking by, he gave me some words of encouragement, and I can't remember the exact words, but I know he said that when he was a kid, he had broken both his legs. And so he was telling me that I was gonna be okay, and that all of whatever I'm going through is gonna pass. And so you're a kid, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? But okay, that's cool. And ever since then, I never felt like um, that I was not physically able to do stuff because I had broken my leg. And to this day they're different. My legs are different. My knees are different. They don't they don't act the
Right.
same, and and stuff. But I always feel like I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna make it through. And so to me, so I say that as an example of where if that is part of your story, because that's how you came into art. That was the entrance for you to come into art. It's a very traumatic experience. I think that could actually help somebody else, families and other kids understand that um, the tools you found, that you've turned them into a talent and career, there are still tools that are helpful in these kind of situations, and they're gonna be okay. I don't know. I'm just making things up, man.
Well, no, listen. You're right. I feel like that's. I feel like I've approached that as well, especially for when I was teaching high school math and middle school math. Especially for our really introverted students in class. And the professors, how not professors, but the principals are always tell you we need to stick to the curriculum, we need to stick to the goal guide. But
Mhm.
just especially for the first part of the year or the first month, that's why I try to make sure that a lot of the uh, you know a lot of our projects and little task assignments that we were doing in class was visually motivated,
Mhm.
so that when it came to the kids, not only were we drawing or getting a chance for letting the kids kind of express themselves, it was a great meeting point where I can actually get down, almost face to face and actually get a good chance to actually talk to them without having them judge me and me judging them. Like, I know I'm your teacher, okay,
Mhm.
but we're just two artists right here, right now, you
Mhm.
know. So
Mhm.
while we're drawing this, tell me about yourself, and I'll, we'll get into, coloring or whatever else that you want to get into for this assignment, for this little task that we're doing. And I
Mhm.
think that helped kind of bridge a lot when it came to the students and their personalities and things. And why we didn't have so many conflicts is because we did get a chance to essentially set a one-on-one through our artwork. And then, kids in general, they love to show off what they made, especially when you start collaborating with them.
Mhm.
And so, it became its own advertisement of positive work
Mhm.
that was being created.
Mhm.
And that's just how I am, especially when it comes to my classroom. The outside bulletin board is going to be our billboard for all the dope artwork that we're making for whatever math project. So,
Yeah.
I don't care if we're right beside the French teacher or whatever.
Mhm.
We're going to be loud. We're going to be ostentatious. We're going to have something up there every other month.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that we're boasting, but I think that just was our great marker. And for me, it was his own little kind of yearbook of sorts.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
is what we did this month. This
Mhm.
is who we connected to, and this is who shined for
Mhm.
this month.
Mhm.
And so I feel
Nice.
that was the best way to run. And I
Yeah.
and I still, I'm sad that I had to leave because my license ran out. But for the time that we were there, I think we really touched on a lot of students
Nice.
by doing so.
That's good. Yeah, man. I think that art is a big uniter and is a great way to communicate and converse that transcends anything and everything, man. Because as soon as you identify with somebody, and that's why on the street I'll see a person walking with a big old portfolio bag. I like, there goes an
Right,
artist. I get excited. Like, that's an artist. I know that's an artist right there. It kind of just kind of start feeling this connection. There is a
right.
question in the chat. CJ is asking, Herb, do you have any of the things you drew from back then? We're talking about those love notes at that time when the question came up.
Well, actually, yes, I do. I actually have. I have a oof, not with me, and this is only because CJ, I do have them. I actually have them filed
Mm,
uh, per month per year. That's just because that's just how I was organizing stuff. But recently, my mom, she had kidney failure. And so part of her thing, part of her regiment now is that she's making these, laminated, essentially banners of all of my artwork and the love notes and whatnot, and that she likes to use and take to church. But it's one of those things that she gets up to do before dialysis. And so,
what? Uh-huh.
so just so she's got something to do. I wasn't going to take it from her, but she
Uh-huh.
does have, and I can definitely send you pictures of it. She's done a great job. I mean, like I said, she'll get like 8 foot lamination banner pieces, and then she'll go into her little jigsaw puzzle mode and
Mhm.
colors and pastels and things for the backgrounds. And then when she gets done, she'll slap it and iron everything out, and it's beautiful. But I dare not touch. I told him, I was like, whatever you want. Saying obviously you pay the bills.
Right,
So
right.
you know what I mean. So do what you will. Just send me some great pictures after you're done with all
Mhm.
your work. And so that's what she's been doing for the last couple of months. But I do have them. Yes, I
Dang.
do have them. I actually have
That's
them in mermaids.
very
So
cool. That's how you repurpose.
yeah,
Repurpose the art.
yeah. But it's also,
Nice.
you know what? It's also great conversation starters, like especially
Uh-huh.
for the kids at church down there.
Uh-huh.
They love to just see them, and then they, some of their mouths are like, "Your son did that? How old is your son?" You're like, "Well, he's old now, but when he was your age, this is what he
Uh-huh.
was drawing," and
Mm,
that gives them a chance to kind of really open up, and
nice.
whatnot. They get to have a little bit more fun, especially during children's church.
Yeah.
Sometimes those lessons can run long, but now they got something to look at
Right.
while they're doing the Sunday lesson, as it were.
Nice. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. All right, that's cool, man. That's cool. CJ says that's great. You still have them. Sending healthy vibes to your mom too. She says, I think it would be
thank you.
great to see how it evolved over time as you learn to go to words and meanings. Yes,
Right.
yeah, and I think that so everything I've been saying about or why I've been touching on that part so long is because when I look at your art, and we've been looking at some of these posts on Instagram, when I look at your art, it's like there's so much detail, so much information, so much to look at, so much depth to your drawings. I'm like, this guy is a genius. And now I understand is because to you, is more than a drawing of a thing. It's an actual form of communication, and you want to communicate, and you have a brain that can make pictures communicate the things that you want to say. That's why your
Right.
art is so impressive, bro.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and look, it's just I couldn't stress it enough, man. Like, there's been so many times where they'll be like, without asking me about something that was in a particular room, right? Did you see where this box was or where this book was? Can you draw a map to where it was? And I had to, just come from scratch, and so for that information that they're asking me for, I didn't know it at the time, but it's essentially almost like photogenic training.
Hmm.
So just on the aspects of your repetition of shapes, the use of
Hmm.
the golden rectangle that I was always reading about,
Hmm.
those kind of things just kept being brought up, and I was just kind of reinforcing it when I kept
Hmm.
doing all of these sketches and things. So it just the detail kept getting clear. And I
Hmm.
guess for my depth was getting deeper,
Hmm.
you know, and
Nice.
that's just carried over. And I guess that's the other thing too. I'm gonna tell you too, especially when I was at that young age and I was coming out from being mute. If I wasn't talking to somebody, I was either in the comic books or I was, steadfast into movies,
Okay.
especially cinematic movies,
Uh-huh.
you know, and just being in awe for what the directors and the cameramen were always shooting. I
Hmm.
wanted to get like that. I wanted to be like George Perez. I wanted to get like, say real detail. So, said there was no question about what I was doing.
Hmm.
You saw who I was drawing, you saw where they were, and you could almost feel like it was there. I felt like if you could feel that, my
Hmm.
job was done and I could actually put the pencil down.
Dang. Dang. Yo, man. Oh man, I knew I always liked you, but it's like
Crazy Shifu, you know that. Come on, man. Come on
dang,
now.
bro. Oh my god, this stuff is deep. What's up, Gareth? Gareth is joining us on the Discord and in the chat. Bree, I see Bree in the Discord. Welcome, welcome. And RB in the house. So earlier, before we went live, you were asking me what's up with Odari. Odari is in the chat. So you can say something and Odari's going to hear you.
What's going on, brother? I ain't seen him since the Mano a Mano art show, but it's good to see you, man. I know that we hadn't had a chance to talk, brother. I hope
Hmm.
everything's going well with you and the family.
Yep, yep. His son is getting over COVID, I think, something like that.
Ooh,
Uh-huh. But Odari did send me this sweet sweatshirt. Look at that. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
that is
Yeah,
tight,
I had to put it
man.
on. All
That is
right.
tight.
So when you were growing up, did you decide that you wanted to be an artist of some kind, and did you work towards it, or is it the art become your language, and then you just never you started talking, but you never left the art? How did it go?
Um, I started talking again, yes, and I realized that, to be honest with you, Dan, I didn't think I was going to stay in art that long, because there was such a heavy push in my household where we need to either get into the aspects of law, and I mean, and I know this sounds funny, but my parents were like, super goal driven, so
Mm,
they wanted me to almost declare majors in college, but before we got to middle school, kind of thing. So,
mm,
it was we need to go ahead and kind of point and fixate ourselves upon that kind of goal. So I had honestly kind of I still was drawing art just because that was my thing. That was almost like playing Nintendo, right?
mhm, mhm.
But I spent a lot of my time getting ready for engineering.
Okay.
So engineering. I was thinking like as a kid, I was steady into what would be mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering,
Mhm.
just because I got a chance to draw with the French curve tools and whatnot when it came to the shapes and design measures. I
Mhm.
know you guys probably remember the Crayola set that came with the French tools and everything, and the great sketchboard.
Uh-huh.
But that was my way. I could do the math, I
Mhm.
could do the science and practice, and I still get a chance to draw, and I still had some cool tools to deal with after I kind of got all my assignments and stuff done.
Mhm.
And that's how it was, you know. And then I'll tell you, the corruption happened for me. Like it was just like, what? I don't have to be an engineer. I could just do art. I went to one of the college visits, and lo and behold, I actually saw the art department at North
Mm.
Carolina State,
Mhm.
and their art department was amazing. Like they had everything, Dan. They had,
Mhm.
you know, stock barrel. I mean, I don't know how much in just paints, like the paint wall that they had, with all different, shades, and then they had canvases, and then they actually brought you into this other part where it was just the printers,
Mhm.
and it was the vinyl, and it was just all this stuff, and it was just, and we hadn't even gotten to the classrooms and everything, and I was just like, oh my god, yeah, and I was just like, you guys do stuff with this? Oh, they're like, yeah, it's nothing, but it's just like, no, it's way more than that. And then
Yes.
I was hooked. And
Mhm.
then what made it worse was like right after the college visit, my dad got a chance to introduce me to Dwayne McDuffie.
Wow.
And
Uh-huh.
I actually got a chance to meet with Dwayne McDuffie and Dennis Cowens and I think one of the other artists from Milestone Comics. So I
Wow.
got a chance to see, them actually work out how they do stories for Static Shock.
Mhm.
And it was just like everything I wanted to, especially for how they went on depth of their stories. And it was just like, I need this is what I need to be.
That's it.
This is what I need to be. And I told dad, and my dad got upset. I was like, listen, dad, I'm going to do engineering, okay? I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
get the degree in engineering,
Okay.
but I want to do that over there. So we went
Wow.
around and around,
Mhm.
and I did. I looked true to form. I graduated. I got a 3.3. I was one of the youngest kids to pass all the exams and the state exam for engineering. I did all my part. So my dad had nothing to say.
Mhm.
And then I went in like a couple of years later. I was like, all right, dad, I did my time in the field. I did my work. I want to do something for me now so I can learn how
Uh-huh.
to do all the stuff
Uh-huh.
that they did. And he couldn't say anything. And so
Right.
that's where I got my chance to do my art school and really start to jump into comics.
So you
So
have an
that's how it was.
engineering degree. You
That is
have
correct.
what kind of engineer?
I am a civil engineer with the concentration in water resources and
Mm.
mechanical engineering.
Dang.
So I can
S-
go either direction.
Super smart, bro. Golly. Oh my God. We have a civil engineer. I don't know what kind of engineer Bree was. I forgot. I think you were similar to that, right, Bree? I can't remember. Say something on the chat.
Civil.
Go ahead.
Civil.
Civil. Oh, you were civil engineer. Okay. Nice.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And then
It's
Tamika
one
Mika was civil also.
also. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So you have some kindred around here. You need to hang out more
That is
often.
awesome. I'm glad to meet you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, man. Dang. So, all right. So then, somewhere around there, 10 years ago, when I was doing our shows,
That's correct.
were you living in Atlanta at that time, or how did we connect? Big ups to Raphael joining us on Facebook. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Right.
Tell us what happened. How'd you hear about the Mano Mano art shows?
Well, I was about to say we did meet up. I believe it was the summer before. Unfortunately, the engineering company that I was working for, uh, they got into big problems because they kind of lied on some reports. So it
Mm.
was a lot of litigation and things. And so to avoid issue, they let a lot of us go. Now I
Mm.
had met you, I believe it was at the Utrecht Art Store for like just a few minutes or whatnot, because we were talking about the quality of Stedlers and blue pencils and whatnot that we
My
were using
favorite.
for.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can't make this up. And
Mhm.
so you was just like, you got a you got a cool vibe. And I was like, you do too. And I was just like, I'm trying to get some things together, trying to get a sketchbook and stuff together. I want to do something on a printed aspect. And you gave me one of your cards
Mm.
and whatnot. And he's just like, call me. And I was like, all right, all right. Well, he said, don't forget me now, because we're going to actually be doing the art show a little later. I would love to get you some of your artwork in. And I was like, all right, cool. So I kept your card. Unfortunately, I had to leave the state
Mhm.
because, with everybody getting fired, I didn't have any, I didn't have enough because I had just started. Unfortunately, I had only started working the job about maybe 6 months.
Mhm.
And so I had to break my lease and I had to go back to North Carolina.
Mhm.
And so when I moved back to North Carolina, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just go ahead and do art school stuff and get back into the art school. And that's when you sent me the information about, hey, bro, I'm about to start an art show. I would like to see if you want to be in it. And I was like, cool. And you telling me about the prompt, about the skulls and everything for the mono a mono art show. And I was just like, say less. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get you like 3 or 4 big poster prints, and I'm gonna bring it down there myself because I didn't trust FedEx at the time.
Mhm.
And we, I stayed up. I know we were working hard for about 2 weeks to get all the posters and the colors and everything printed out correctly, and we got them laminated and we brought them down there. And you were awesome because you went ahead and fitted them and got them hung for me because I didn't have a chance to bring any of the stuff to actually hang it.
Mhm.
And we had a great time that night, man. We had a great time, and we just started vibing, just chilling out. The show was awesome. We ended up getting, I believe it was like a, who was it, like brunch the next day or whatever. I ended up selling like 3 out of my 4 poster prints.
So this
It
was
was
at
wonderful.
in Little Five Points, right? Was this
Yeah,
a show in Little Five
yeah,
Points?
correct.
Uh-huh. The way of not the way of the gun. Is it the way of the gun? You said there were
Yeah,
skulls. It's the way of the gun.
Way of the Gun. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Odari was in that show. And that's how you know
yes, it
Odari.
was.
And so
Because
so I
look,
had an office. I had an office down the street from there.
that's right.
Yes.
That's
Uh-huh.
right.
Uh-huh. 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 Yep.
And
Yep.
then me and Dari, we had to go running back to the Utrecht store to get a couple other things before that show that night because we were just rumping and zipping and back and forth and whatnot. And it was a wonderful time, man. I never felt so alive in my life, man. And then the music and everything was live. I mean,
Yeah.
the atmosphere was wonderful.
Mhm.
I met a
Mhm.
lot of people. You introduced me to a lot of people. I still don't remember. Like there was just so many people there, and then you ended up doing like a mini interview of me and Adara and everybody that had
Mhm.
participated in the show right outside of
Mhm.
the restaurant, I
Mhm.
believe.
Mhm. It's kind of
That
like
was,
a bar. It's a bar. It's still
yeah,
there now, but it's called something else and something related to Five still. But it was called the Five Spot,
the five.
and it had a stage and so it features musical acts but and it's a bar and it serves food. So I guess you could call it a restaurant. But in any case, Odari says, "Yep, I remember. Yeah, man."
And look, I appreciate you, Dar, for being patient because, like I said, I know I was still kind of new. I was still a greenhorn trying to learn how to
Uh-huh.
get around certain bits. But he was being, he was awesome. He was like a big brother. Just turn on here. You know how he talks real calm and real smooth, so he doesn't get upset. Just
Uh-huh.
turn on here, right over here. Yeah, yeah, park right there. I'll be right back. He was just talking like that. You know what I'm saying? It was cool. Like, and then while we're driving, he was just, giving me all the heads up about what was essentially by the little 5 point. Like, this is what's such and such here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, it was almost like a nice little history lesson while we were getting ready for the art show. And
Right,
I'll never
right.
forget. So appreciate it. Much love, Adar. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
There you go. The one time Odari was nice to somebody. Odari's cool people. So tell us. So now, okay. So let's move it along because let's see how much time we got. We're down to the second half. So
Okay.
you moved. You've been gone from Atlanta, but
Yeah.
I've seen you drawing continuously since. and a
Right.
lot of comic book art. So, have you been working on other people or company projects where you're hired as a comic book artist? Is that what's been going
For
on?
yeah, I have been. We uh, a couple have actually fell through. Um, Honestly, just because it wasn't because of the artwork, it was because of the issue of either the copyright or it was because of the issues with printers
Mhm.
and publishers.
Mhm.
So I've actually worked on a couple of titles. It was Six Deep. It was essentially a what if story for uh, one of the one of the historic U.S. events. We did a what if story for the Bay of Pigs.
Mm.
It's just you know back to back stories, and like I said, thankfully they were paid. They were paying gigs,
Mhm.
but ultimately, just for the aspect they didn't follow through and finish with the printers and publishing, which is
Mhm.
a downer because there's a lot of artwork that I've done, but it's essentially in a casket right now because they don't want
Mhm.
to go out and print and publish. So that's where I was just like, you know what? After that happened, like the third or fourth time, I'm gonna start doing me. I'm gonna start going. I'm gonna make my own stories. I'm gonna just go ahead and just go ahead and do the lab. I already know what the process is. Let me
Mhm.
go ahead and get focused and do it. And if you remember, Dan, I was actually about to go full head with the Hood Classic story. Sadly, and this is sadly, the Hood Classic 3 story that I was going to do was about 145 pages long, fully colored, and sadly, the hard drive and the iMac was stolen.
What?
So yeah, somebody broke in the house. Oh, they cleaned us. They cleaned house, and
Dang.
they took the backup. They took everything. And so the only thing that I was honestly left with was the original paper pages that I had in my briefcase. They didn't take the briefcase. They just
Mhm.
they was literally after jewelry and electronics. And so that was a huge step back because not only was that the Hood Class story, there's also the other three stories that I was working on as well. So we filed a police report and we tried to get things together to see if we could get that, but
Mhm.
it never happened. And so I just had to kind of start over.
Mhm.
So and IMAX aren't cheap. So
Nah.
and so I had to start off kind of on humble beginnings. I kind of grabbed one of the old PC computers that one of the schools was throwing out, and
Mhm.
that's where I started teaching. And so
Mhm.
I was using that for a little bit, and everything was good. And unfortunately, the kids spilled what is it, Capri Sun on that one, so I lost it a second time, and I got frustrated.
Ah. Uh-huh.
I got frustrated, Dan. So it was just the fact, like, I'm gonna just, I'm gonna spend a little bit just, just drawing stuff, stay relevant, just
Mhm.
put something up that's going to be on Facebook and Instagram just to keep myself up there. But
Yeah.
as far as storytelling, there was I was just like, I can't believe I can't do
Yeah.
this a second time. I can't do it.
So did
And
you have 140 pages drawn already in a hard drive, or you were working your way to 140 and you had a few pages?
no,
What
I
was the
had 100.
status?
Well, as far as physical pages, yes, we have the 145 physical pages.
Okay.
And the only problem is that, like I said,
And
we
the hard
lost
drive were the finished pages.
all of it. The all lettered, all colored, all
Uh-huh.
inked.
Dang.
And it was, yeah. Now the
Oh.
good news is, listen. The good news is,
There's good
uh,
news.
I was about to say that we do have one lick of good news. I just haven't attempted it yet. Was the standalone has a copy of what would be the finalized. The
Mhm.
only problem is that it needs to be what is it? The whole Savior defrag or whatever. See if they can find a, what I'm talking about, where they can do like a possible full recovery of
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So
the SS.
you have a drive where there was a copy of it in there, and so somebody needs to recover it. They
Yeah,
need to take it.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's possible. It's not cheap,
The
but it
whole
can be done. Yeah. Yeah.
that, but
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, it's a little expensive. That's why I haven't kind of just run
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
You know what babies.
Right.
So,
A long time ago, I wasn't a big fan, but everybody had watched the show at least once. Sex in the City, and so at that time when it was very popular, I caught a scene of it. I won't admit to watching the whole episode. I will admit to have watched the scene. and
research.
right, research. And so um the scene was the main character. She's the writer or journalist or something. She writes articles. I forgot what it was. Anyways, so she had her MacBook. She was typing, and then the MacBook died, and she couldn't get it to turn on. So she went to the store. She's at the store, and the guy and she's like, "So can it be fixed?" The guy's like, "Yeah, it can get fixed." And and he says, "You have a backup, don't you?" And she says, "What's a backup?" And he says, "Well, I'm gonna fix this, but it's gonna be wiped clean. It's gonna be empty when I get it back to you. So the only way for you to recover anything you were doing is if you had a backup." And so of course she was crushed, and it was a big old drama. Man, that day I was like, I don't understand. I need to have a backup. And so that was my education. So here I am starting to collect external drives. And I mean, this is a long time ago, man, like where Macs and PCs were very, very different the way they function. And so so I had got a Mac. I already had a couple PCs, and I kept plugging in my external drive and dumping things out to save them into the drive. And then one day I need something. I'm on my Mac, and I'm like, well, let me grab this drive and plug it into the Mac. As soon as I plugged it in, the screen popped up and it started to overwrite it, overwrite the drive. And I was like, what is happening? No. So I unplugged it, and I was like, I don't know what happened, what's going on. So I plug it back into a PC, and now I cannot even see any of the files. The drive won't pull up. It's not working. So I'm like, oh man. Well, it so happened that at the school that I had been doing art for, I used to do sets for theater production at this
Yeah.
private school. And so they had a computer guy in there. And so I went in to see him. I brought my drive and said, "Listen, I heard there are programs that you can use to uh, pull any erased information out of the off the drive." And he says, "Yeah, I can do it, but I don't have that kind of software. If you buy the software, I'll do it for you, and I just keep the software." And I'm like, well, that's a good deal. And but it was $250, and so for the software by itself. And so I paid him so he can buy the software, and then days later he gives me an external drive and says, all your stuff is here, I got it. And he gave me the old drive, and he had already rewiped it, wiped it out and cleaned it, and so then I can use it again, but I still had a copy of everything that was in the drive that got erased. And this was like 60 gigs of stuff,
Uh,
so it can be done. And I don't know where to go now. Like, I haven't even bothered to think about it like that. I do have a couple computer friends, but I don't know. They don't. They more do more hardware stuff than software. But
right.
there's definitely, if you have a drive that you want to recover, there's definitely a service out there that will do it, and it's just gonna cost you a few $100. But to me, man, that was worth it in those days. Now I got like 20 hard drives, external drives, bro. I'm
Yeah.
backing stuff up. I got two extra external drives, two extra drives on this computer so that I can dump things that I don't need right now, but I want to save it, and I don't want it to anything to happen to that artwork. It's a terrible thing, bro. Whew.
Yeah, man. Listen. That's what I've been trying to give a hint to the wife, like that no fail core tower, the nice
Hmm.
one. Remember that Coach bag I got you? You know what I'm saying?
Oh
I'm hoping,
snap!
I'm hoping that kind of off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm. Yep,
do it
yep,
for the
yep.
boy
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes. But until then,
Right.
and listen, she's great. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. My wife's great. She puts up with me and she does a lot for me. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But
Right, right.
that that is my plan. Though I'm hoping next year. I've been saving a little bit by a little bit, but I'm hoping next year I'll have. I think the final number that my friend told me was like supposed to be like 600 something for the whole recovery.
Okay. Oh, so you do know somebody who's already priced it out for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Good. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, look, if I can
Mm,
find somebody, look, like I said, that's just one. If I can get another one,
mm-hmm.
I'll take it. You know,
RB in the chat says nowadays you can do many things to recover your drive, and he says if you need help with it, I can show you what to do. This is RB. He is in the chat right now. So if you on uh, on our Discord, RB is a guy who teaches Adobe Illustrator every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. So I'll find a way to connect you to RB in our Discord so that you guys can talk. No guarantees on what can happen, but he says I will join Discord later. So once we're done talking here in the stream, we're gonna talk offline, but in the Discord, and you guys get to talk a little bit more. Okay?
thank you,
Dang.
thank
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
appreciate.
No, man, but when you're married and you got children, you got a family, you have the right idea. You do things for your family, you provide for the family, and then every now and then it's like it's my turn. And so that's how, I get to buy new stuff, once a year. Is that,
Right,
the wife gets everything she wants. We go on our travels, we go on our trip. We go to Macy's. She gets to have the perfumes she wants that are
mm,
expensive. It's like, fine, that's good, that's yours. And as we're walking out with her bag, she's like, so what is it that you want for your for anniversary? That's right. You know what I want? Some more computers, more pencils, more sketchbooks. That's what I want.
well,
Anyway,
listen, I'll go. You can go. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead,
that
Mike.
was it. That was it. That was my story. In agreement with you. Go ahead.
I was about to say, listen, and it's so funny. Listen, I saw one of your streams last year where you were actually showing off the what was it? It was that PC Pro that table that lifts and up and it had the little dial, the
I
color
got
wheel
that. I got
dial.
the Surface Studio. I have a Surface Studio. It's a big 27-inch screen, and it folds down, and there's a dial. The dial is just like it's a shortcuts. It's for your shortcuts
Yeah,
and things. And you turn it, you click on it, and turn it to get to the settings that you need while you're drawing. So that way you don't need keyboard shortcuts. It'll zoom in, zoom out, pan,
right.
and rotate all that stuff, and even change the size of your brush while you're drawing, and change the brush and stuff. And so,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, man. Boy, we gotta love our
Listen,
toys.
yes, and listen, you were jamming on there. You were jamming at the store. I believe it was that time you were actually jamming at the store. And was it Linux?
I
Linux Live?
have been, you know what? I've been at it was Linux. I've been at Linux, but I've streamed from several different Microsoft stores in the past. Back in the day, Microsoft had stores all across the country, and wherever I
Right.
traveled, man, I would stop at a Microsoft store. If I knew there was a Microsoft store in that town where I was traveling, which is, LA, California, Northern California, wherever Houston, I've been to. When my wife and I would go out, we travel, and then and like I look it up and I was like, this is a Microsoft store. I need to go. And so I would just show up, talk to people, hand out stickers, and they let me draw on anything I want. And so I started to set it up where I know that I'm planning to visit LA, and so I would get in touch with the people I know there and be like, look, I want to do a stream from the store, and they'll tell me when and ask me when, and let's do it. And I'm like, okay. And then I show up and they have the Surface Studio ready, they have my whole setup ready. I just turn on my iPhone, share my screen, and boom, I'm streaming from the Microsoft Store. Those were some amazing times. Too bad they shut them down. They closed all the stores. But yeah, yeah, man, yeah. But nowadays, I got a Surface Studio here. It's in a different part of my office, but yes, I have one.
Listen,
Hmm.
I'm telling you, listen, man. When we had to go check on her aunt and everything. So we had to drive down there recently and whatnot. And
Hmm.
so, like you said, we let the kids have fun and get all the stuff that they wanted because they wanted the kids and the wife wanted to go see Lennox.
Uh huh.
We don't. whatever. But you know, I was just letting go, and like I said, they went to all the clothes stores they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
all the toy stores they wanted, and then as soon as they got done and they're about tired, like, all right, Dad, what you want to do? And it was just literally fat. I just gave him the beeline, like.
Right.
And so we went in there. Let me tell you something. I felt like Dan the Man that day because I went ahead and got on the Surface Pro,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, all right. And so it's like, give me a couple of minutes now. And so I started going in. I mean, going in at the store. And by the time I looked up, there is like 8 people behind me, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wife has got her arms crossed in front of me, going like, okay, you're done now. You're done making
Mm-hmm.
a scene and whatnot. It
Mm-hmm.
was amazing, Dan. But like, it was just the processing power
Uh-huh.
that was in that thing. And
Yes.
there was like, this is what I want. And she's like, yeah, okay, we'll just take your 401k to get it. It was just like,
Right. Oh man, them things are expensive, bro. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, they are
that
expensive.
was so good.
They are beautiful. They're beautiful. And luckily for me, fortunately, I've been building relationships. So I got a Surface Studio a few months ago that was gifted to me through
Nice.
Microsoft and Sketchable, and it was gifted. I'm like, oh my God, because for me to buy one of them things, like you said, you got to cash in a lot of stuff. I got to call in a ton of favors. And like, whoa, I don't know about that. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm looking at this picture on Instagram. It looks like you're using Procreate to draw.
I am. No,
Mhm.
now I am. I've
Mhm.
actually kind of started using it more because up to the, I like to say, um, up to about mid spring, I was still using Autodesk
Mhm.
Sketchbook. And and I was doing that. I was still using Autodesk Sketchbook because it had until they changed it because Autodesk had the Copic markers plugin, so
Mm.
you could switch from your regular circular color palette, and you could actually go to where they actually delineated the marker colors or whatnot. And I was doing that because I was teaching my math kids and my design kids,
Mhm.
when it came to color theory, this is how you would set up to actually paint one of your pictures if you want
Mm.
to have a particular depth. And it was a great practice. The kids actually kind of latched on to it. And it wasn't something hard because, when they saw the marker, I guess the marker uh, files or whatever that they were using to
Mhm.
color, it would just made it easier because that's one thing that we were doing in class. We were using the design markers in physical paper for the project stuff for the billboard outside, and then
Mhm.
when it came for our digital stuff, that was their bridge
Mhm.
there. So and
Mhm.
then also I felt that the Autodesk sketchbook was more draft oriented, so it was easier for them to use the rulers and the T
Mhm.
tables, the T squares and things to
Mhm.
get their details and everything in, and it wouldn't be confusing because
Okay.
Procreate is wonderful, but Procreate is very painterly, and for somebody that's just starting out, might be a little bit over their head.
Yeah.
So I was trying
Yeah.
to I, what I'm saying, I was just trying to keep it to the practice that everybody could be comfortable with.
Yeah. 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 Cause Sketchbook has been was free for a long time, also. So it's really accessible and it's like on every device, Windows, Mac, and PC, and
Correct.
iPad. So that's definitely a plus there. So right now, what are your apps? We're about to show off this comic book. Let me go ahead and tell us about this comic book. What's the idea behind the comic book? Where'd you come up with the story? What's going on? How did you make it? Why did you make it? Oh my God, this is crazy.
Okay, so Sandstone is a story uh, my brother and I were actually, just talking about, we were talking about our favorite animes and mangas or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And so we were saying like we wanted to get a story together that would be able to, that we could be able to kind of pass down to the kids, but also give them something that would be a little bit more identifiable than Naruto. We wanted to do something where we would actually have where the main characters are black and brown.
Mhm.
And we felt that with the type of writing, we could get into the kind of details where you see in Naruto, they kind of exemplify the history of Japan through what they call their ninjutsu and genjutsu. We can do the same thing when it comes to the tribes of Africa and the tribes of South America.
Hmm.
So the from the power details, the spells, and the magic, we kind of use the names and the techniques that you've seen in history from East African tribes, tribes from Ghana, tribes from Nigeria, Dogon tribes, and stuff that they are famous for. We implemented into our stories here. And
Mm.
the other big part was is that we wanted it to be positive, where it was a father son positive rich story. If you look at a lot of the mangas, you're dealing with essentially storylines that deal with child soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the times the kids don't even know their parents. There's very few of the kids that are either supporting characters or main characters that has positive reinforcements when it comes to family. And so for Sandstone, what we're seeing here is we're getting a chance where a daughter and a son get to see their father in the upcoming issues. They don't know it now, but they're going to see where the superhero that they've been reading about in their bedtime stories is actually their father.
Oh.
So it's almost like a story shock, but it's also a color shock because they don't know. They keep seeing that this particular character looks one kind of way, and then
Mm-hmm.
when the story truth is revealed, it's their father. It's their father and mother that are actually the big heroes. And so
Mm.
it's a coming of age story, but it's a coming of age story that is reinforcing of things that they are knowledgeable about in their culture. So we still
Nice.
get bells and whistles that you would see for superhero stories,
Mm-hmm.
saying like the genjutsus, the ninjutsu stuff that you would see for Naruto, the
Big
the,
action
the
shot.
wardrobe,
Big reveal.
yeah,
Uh huh.
you know,
Uh huh.
all the stuff that you would love. And this is the other thing too that when I was writing the Sandstone, I don't know if you guys remember the Tell Me Reader stories that used to have the visual finders or
Mm-hmm.
the little vinyl 33 and a thirds.
Mm-hmm.
We were going over a weekend just on how the little the stories used to go page by page.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just like, I can do that. I know I can pace my story to be like that. We can make a story where people will want to see more.
Uh huh.
And so that's how we essentially structured our story so that you got to see the introduction of characters, the conflict, and essentially where you would see a mini conclusion, and then you would have a cliffhanger that would kind of seed you to want to read
Mm.
the
What's
next issue.
next? Yeah. 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 And so
So
that's awesome. So the style you're going for is minimal, black and white,
well,
dashes
let
of
me let me
purple.
well, what you're
Oh,
seeing
and
here,
then color. Uh huh. Go ahead.
I'm about to say the first part of the book that you're looking at, DTM, we kept it at a kind of like a cyanotype because we were trying to emulate what the bedtime story part was,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as if it was reading, as if you were cinematically watching what the bedtime story was being read. And then when you come out of the story at the very end, when you flip the page over, the color is supposed to be where you're kind of getting phased back into the real world, where the kids are like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh no, what's going to happen next, Dad?
Mm.
Did they survive? Blah blah blah." Well, we gotta
uh,
wait till next. Gotta wait till
ah,
next time. What I'm saying?
yeah,
So it kind of,
yeah.
and so that's how we wanted to read it. So, and
This
now,
is good.
as I tell everybody else, that's just, we wanted you to be dropped into what would be a bedtime story routine, just like anything else. The issue 2 that we're working on, and issue 3, all of it's full color. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not doing bedtime stories. We're just
Oh.
dealing with what's in present day.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first issue, we just felt it would be a great establishing point to show everybody what the bedtime story was, and then who the villain was that's going to be reconsidered for the
Mm.
action and adventures moving forward.
This is
So,
so cool. And you said your brother and you. So you have a
yeah.
brother, and he's what's part is he doing?
Also, my brother is actually doing. He's doing the no, for now he's doing the dialogue
Mm-hmm.
for issue 2, and he's actually helping me kind of creatively put the map together for what
Mm-hmm.
is going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And
So
what's
he's been
and what's his name? Is he Michael?
his name is
No.
yeah Michael Montague.
Okay,
Yeah.
right there. And you guys have another story that you're working on?
Yes.
Squadron 7?
Yes. This is the second thing. Now listen, Squadron 7 was also one of the stories that I lost when the kids spilled Capri Sun on the PC before. So we got a chance. Now look, that of the story that was able to be recovered, Squad 7 survived. So
Okay.
that's what we kind of been,
Hmm.
trying to edit and proof up. And
Very
we actually got it.
sci-fi.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
if you want to think about it, and this is where I tell everybody else, Sandstone is essentially where it's going to be the astral plane, right? And so
Hmm.
Squad 7 will be real time, present day.
Gotcha,
So you're
gotcha.
getting 2 points of the coin. And yes, they are connected.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Same
you
universe.
yeah, same universe, same
Hmm.
universe. It's
Nice.
just different points.
Hmm.
And I think you'll like that a lot too, Dan, because like I said, we do a lot of great. We had a chance to really interview a lot of great guys, uh, soldiers, captains, sergeants, and whatnot to help really give our military feel for what would be our version of Avengers. That's what
Hmm.
essentially Squadron 7 is,
Hmm.
and how they would react to what would be, superhero threats in present day.
Gotcha.
And so that's
Okay.
what we got here.
Nice. And so who is
So
Morris Publishing? Is that you guys?
Morris Publishing, no, that's a publisher we found out in Nebraska because Kablam let us down. Oh, they destroyed the
Huh.
first print. They did a horrible job, and so we was just like, we need to find somebody
Hmm.
that can do a decent printout. And so we were actually calling out for a couple of companies, and Morris called us back. And so
Hmm.
there's like, yeah, we can set you up and get you a nice set of prints,
Hmm.
provided you stay under 30 pages, 36 pages, and we can get it locked out for you for about
Hmm.
in a matter of 2.5 weeks. And
Gotcha.
so we were just
Okay.
like,
Nice, nice, bro. Well, I'm excited. When you asked me for my address, I was like, why is that? Why people want my address? And then I saw that you were promoting the book. I was like, oh snap, and stuff. And so that's super awesome that you sent me a copy. I'm glad that I'm on your list, and uh
thanks, man.
and I want the world to know about it. So I know that you said you were, because I saw your post that said you were down to a couple copies. Do you have any more of these copies? Can people get in touch with you to get a copy, or we gotta wait on the second run?
Gotta wait on the second run. Listen, I was surprised because I didn't think 50 would go that fast. If 50 went
50?
in like
Uh-huh.
50 went out in like 2.5 days, and so
Wow.
we was
Hmm.
so and listen, we've already called the people, but they already told us like, listen, even if we took you, we started you today, we're not going to have anything ready until the 3rd of January.
Hmm.
So we was just, like we tell everybody, like just be patient. We're
Hmm.
trying to, and a lot of it. Mike has done one part. He's been great on the story avenue, but I've been having to do a lot of the legwork to get
Hmm.
stuff ordered and everything because it's
Hmm.
just me.
Well, here
But
says proofread and edited by Dr. Sydney Richardson. That's your wife, isn't it?
that's the wife.
That's
That's the
right.
wife.
Oh, so she's super smart. She's a doctor, and she's going
Yes,
over your words to make sure they match up right.
that is, that is.
That's right.
Look, she's, she's coming home with half of the check. I'm gonna tell you. Yes, yes, she is. Can't even be mad. I'm thankful for it because, like I
That's
said,
right.
she's just I could care less. English English was never my forte, but it's just for the fact like she's just that
Uh huh.
quick and
Mhm.
and efficient.
Mhm.
So
No, you need somebody who can look at your work with fresh eyes and then
right,
see things. Whereas we've been in it so long, it's just natural. Like that's fine because I've been working on it. But now, if you step back and come and look at it, it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of ugly, and you don't want to look at it after it's printed and be like, oh snap, I missed it. you know. Nah, you need
exactly.
somebody else. That's right. It's a team, bro. It's a team. I love it. I love it. All right. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you. I want to know more about this. So you and I definitely stay connected. I want you to Remember to always be open to hanging out with us. And if you want to go live with me anytime, and drawing, sharing your process, talking about your process, I'm down for it. Because eventually you're going to have to do a lot of these streams yourself, by
Yeah.
yourself with your team, so that people can get to know the folks behind the story, get familiar with the
Right.
story, and next thing you know, you're selling out 50,000 copies in 2 days.
Well, that would be that would be wonderful. And I'm getting there. Listen,
Yeah,
we're getting there. And
yeah.
look, and this is the thing too. Like I've been telling everybody, like you haven't seen a lot from me just because outside of what we're doing for the two books here, I'm still adding on the animation side. So
Mm,
I'm hoping by the time we get to the end of February, we'll have a full minute to do for the trailer for the book, and then hopefully we'll have with the time to actually get the new prints.
mm-hmm,
We'll be able to drop a trailer when we actually bring the prints out.
mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
but like I said, it's me right now.
Yeah, yeah,
It'll be
yeah,
different,
yeah.
you know.
No, you
So
do
it's
what you
just
got to do when you can do it, bro. Yes, yes, it's all good. Well, we will get you on clouds, saving to the cloud though. We're gonna get you there because
yeah,
you need to stop
yeah,
relying on things that are easily destroyable. Like forget that, man. We need a copy in the cloud. So because
right,
no matter what happens to my computers, RB says they I have too many PCs, and that's why people want my address so they can rob me. I know that's a joke, but it's like I have several PCs, and that's cool, and because I need a backup, right? I don't want something to happen to one of my computers, and then I can't do the work. No, I need to
right,
be able to leave my emotions to the side for a second and say, fine, this computer is busted. I don't know what's wrong with it, but let me grab this one and I can finish my work.
right,
And if something happens to one of my computers, I have all my files synced to the cloud, the current ones that I'm working on, so that I can pick up where I left off and then cry later that I suffered a loss of one of my computers. So yeah, we need to have that cloud thing. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, bro. Like I said, everybody, check him out. It's Herb is Arcadia Nevermind on Instagram. There is a couple of links for Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon, and we're gonna make sure that he sticks around, hangs out with us, because man, I just love talking to artists. I love hanging out with artists, and no matter where you live now, is we got the internet, bro, so we can still hang out.
yeah. And look, the kids are grown now. We're
Okay.
grown. We're grown now. So
Yeah.
now I can
hmm Yeah. Last time I
free.
saw you, they were still little, and
Yeah,
they're like, why y'all keep talking so long? You stopped by for a second to hang out for a second. Next thing you know, it's been an hour, and I know your wife's like ready to go. Like, I know. I'm sorry. We're artists. We like to hang out with each other.
yeah. We have fun too. We
Oh
have
yeah.
fun, man.
hmm
So yes, I do appreciate that. And you have been awesome, and thank you for this opportunity. You guys have been great. Thank
Y-
you
You're
for
welcome. You're welcome. CJ says thank you for sharing. Dari says thanks, Herb. Thanks, DTM. I appreciate you. Thank y'all for being here. RB says thanks, folks. Thank you, Gareth. Alejandra, I saw you stopping by. Appreciate you. Anybody who stopped by today, thank you and left a comment. Thank you so much. We will see you in the Discord, so come and hang out if you like. Rafael joined us on Facebook. So anybody who wants to get in touch with Herb, aka Arcadia Nevermind. Go check him out and tell him we sent you. I am DTM Delta Tango Mike. I will see you around this week. We do have the Discord and Chill movie time for tomorrow. I don't know what movie we're gonna watch, but we're gonna watch one. And then Friday, I have a special Adobe Live session at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Behance. So come on through. Last word, Herb.
uh, thank you,
All right.
thank you. And listen, like I said, seriously speaking though, if you are interested, um, in getting a physical copy, please let me know. I need your information as far as where I need to send it. And as soon as we get everything situated with the publishers and print, the wife and I will be back at the post office, bugging them out again, making sure that everything gets sent out. Because we do appreciate everybody that's interested. And hopefully, with a little bit more time, I'm hoping by the end of the month, if you want to just get like a digital download, we'll have all the bits and code, whatnot that we need on the website
Yes.
perfected so that you can get a copy of the digital download as well. So we're
Nice.
going to try to this stuff, and then like I said, if everything goes and like we want to, God forbid anything happen,
No.
knock on wood, we'll have our animation trailers and stuff so you can kind of see what we've been working with uh, in the spring. So
Awesome.
thank you again. Thank
All right, you're welcome. Dari says, I want one for show. they
you.
co-
Let me know.
they
Send me
coming.
your info.
All right, there you go. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Talk to y'all later. Catch you on the flip side. Peace out.
Love y'all. Have a safe night.